I love it. Hey, everybody. Welcome in to another edition, but the first live edition of This Versus That. This is your host, Michael Leopold.
And that is your host, Bill Forness.
Bill Bonnet.
Hey, good to see you, Bill. It's been a little bit since we
It's been a
last.
little while.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had technical difficulties. We've had
Illnesses.
illnesses, and we've had car crashes and airplane debacles. But we're back. We're back and we're live.
And raring to go. Raring to go.
You're in, where are you at? Where are
I'm
you?
in St. Louis, Mo, in my comfy basement, decorated for Christmas. Got everything out. You know, trees are all up.
Jingle,
we're ready for Santa.
Love it. I'm in Okeechobee, Florida, on the road, touring, playing music, having a blast.
Outstanding. Well, hey, any of our listeners who might be in Florida, get out and see Bill Forness and his crew. Man, they put on a great show. So Bill, while you were away, I kind of took over one week here and threw out the idea of throwing up Guitar Heroes as the theme for the week, and that was a few weeks ago, and we thought that was a pretty meaty conversation to have, and so we decided to do our first. Started to do our first live show with the Guitar Heroes. So we kind of had a hodgepodge a little bit. And believe me, fans, we know we didn't get to everybody. And we know that there are many more to discuss. But we wanted to kind of make this conversation accessible to everybody and try to bring in names that most people recognize. And so right out of the gate, you know, I put a legend against up and comer, kind of a new flavor, you know, that might be stirring some love. So we got Jack White against Keith Richards, you know. So you've got I mean, I don't know if they could be more different necessarily, other than the fact that they're both in the blues, without a doubt. That's no doubt there. But in the voting, we had a pretty, strong showing by Keith Richards at a 22, with Jack White coming with an 8.
With an 8.
Which I think is a solid showing.
Right.
Not bad. And people who are Jack White fans, made it known. And those people are maybe have left the Stones behind a little bit, thinking that's my dad's rock and roll. I'm going this way. you think, Bill? So what do you got? What do you got?
I mean, so I respect lots of both of these guys, both of their works. The White Stripes, of course, I guess, is a part of Jack White's initial success. The Dead Weather, didn't he? He even played some music and acted in a movie called Cold Mountain. Is that right? Nicole Kidman?
Yeah, I think you're right. He was, yeah.
And so anyway, I think he did some of the soundtrack stuff on there. That was pretty neat. I've been watching some of his YouTube videos, which are really good on some of his new stuff he's doing. And I think he's got a record label. And He does a lot of stuff, and he could end up being what I think is as a as an entertainer, and what he's going to do is whole body of work because he's not done by a long shot comparatively, I guess, to Keith Richards, right? This is on the tail end. We already know what he's done, but he's done some great stuff. I mean, one of the biggest guitar riffs, I Can't Get No Satisfaction. He wrote that. He wrote a lot of the Stones' stuff. So I got to give him credit where credit is due as far as the writing is concerned. Guitar riffing, I wouldn't say he's like a lead guitar wizard in any sort of way, but I mean, these guitar licks, the tone, it's clean, it's good. I really see Jack White eventually becoming maybe a sort of David Bowie figure later,
Huh.
25 years from now.
That's interesting. That's an interesting and possibly prophetic comparison there. I like where you're headed.
I wonder. I mean, I think his career can go in different paths, but just like Bowie's did too. I mean, his started in one way and ended a completely different way. And I kind of see Jack White having that evolution. And he's got the vocal side where Keith Richards didn't.
Right. Yeah.
So just guitar. And I know we're talking guitar wise. So I guess in that aspect, I got to give it to Keith Richards. He's got the more standout guitar stuff versus Jack White, but Jack White's got the vocal to go with it, and he's got that. I will mention that Andy Viloff said, "I like to go to these quotes. If you guys have any sort of quotes, make sure that you put them on Facebook whenever we're putting this stuff out." I think I forgot to mention that in the beginning, that we put these matchups out all week on Facebook. You can check them out. We'll eventually figure out how to do it on YouTube. If you guys got a pick or you got something that you want to say here tonight, go ahead and put it in the chat. We are live. We'll talk about it. Andy Viloff, he said, Keith is obviously a legend and one of rock and roll's greats, but apples to apples, skill, reinnovation, work, and drive, it's Jack. Jack started in a two-person band. That's right. That's what we're talking about. The two-person band was the White Stripes. They quickly made rock history. He's often seen in 3-4 bands at a time. He's producing countless albums for other artists, including Loretta Lynn. That's right. That is cool. And runs his own record company and stores. Jack White is an absolute outlier and one of the best of our time. But and I think it's our time, and it'll be his time for quite some time. I'll give him his credit due, but Keith Richards for the guitar playing.
For today, I don't think you're wrong. I think looking down the line, I think Jack's future is bright. By the time, if he has the same kind of career length as Keith, they could be singing the same praises about him. Alex Cannon says, "Love Jack White. He's unbelievably good, but I gotta go with Keith. His longevity, his ability to weave in and out between rhythm, lead, and is totally underappreciated, as well as his vocals, and somehow managing to be the coolest member of the coolest band of all time." So there's definitely a Stones fan if I've ever heard one, and a real appreciation for Keith. So thanks for that, Alex. Yeah, I'm. Look, I grew up listening to the Stones, driving to school every day, in carpool and loving them. And that there was a moment where I felt like maybe it was, I just got it too much. You know what I mean? Too much. And when Jack came along, he struck that kind of more alternative sound, or that garage sound that I think he was part of that garage revival that really, maybe guys like the Who and Pete Townsend and that kind of almost invented. And Pete Townsend, another one that we would have to cover if we're staying with great guitarists. But I'm gonna go with Jack. I just like his sound more, and that's the only reason. This is totally on a personal preference, not and I don't want to take anything away from Keith, because he's had an amazing career. His stamp on the world of rock and roll is, you can't argue with it. He's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Jack White isn't. Jack White's still got a ways to go, but I think he'll get there, and I can't wait to see what he does.
You like the guitar tone that he's got? Is that?
I do. It hits me in the right spot, and I know it's not traditional. I know it's a little eclectic almost, and that's why your David Bowie comment resonated with me. So anyway, I think we've given that one all the time we can. We got to move on to the next one, Bill. Um, trying to get our list together and see who we had. I think the next one was an interesting pop matchup in some ways. Definitely these two guys were you know headlining at the
All
same
right.
time. But we got Eddie Van Halen against Prince, and surprise, Prince gets a 17 vote. Eddie VH gets an 8. Tell me how you feel about that one, Billy. All right. We might be having some technical difficulties because of some location issues with Bill. So I'm going to go ahead and riff with my version, waiting for Bill to come back in. And this one is a tough one.
Crazy.
You back with us, Bill?
I mean, I guess
if I can't hear Bill. Oh, you're back. You with us, Bill? Yeah. So, like I was saying, I think that
am I back?
Eddie,
can you hear me?
Bill, we lost you there for a while. You went into a hole. So we heard nothing. Whatever you've been riffing on, we heard nothing. So go ahead and give us your.
Man, you'll never believe it. I had it all figured out, laid out. I don't know if I can say it all again, but well, anyway, so I mean, from artist to artist, I mean, I'll say again that it's difficult to me to separate between Prince as an artist, as a vocalist, as a guitar player, all encompassed. Once again, that's got um its own holistic nature, all wrapped up in itself, right? It's one big package. Eddie Van Halen, on the other hand, guitar player. For one of the best rock guitar bands ever. Came up with innovated two-hand tapping. That's huge. Guitar players have took that and ran with it for decades now. His tone was definitely, cutting edge. I mean, it was really, really awesome in the late 70s and early 80s. That stuff was just cutting edge tone wise. His solos are phenomenal. There have just been guitar players trying to emulate those guitar solos. And I don't think anyone is necessarily trying to emulate Prince's guitar solos. It just isn't something that I've seen, and maybe some other folks have a different take on that. I think people try to emulate Prince's overall, vocal and songwriting and that sort of genre. But I just think that I think that guitar playing wise, it's Eddie Van Halen all day. Prince, I mean, he's a good soloist, but there's no innovation to me. So I don't know how he won, but there it is.
Well, Bill, and I definitely, because you are a musician and I am just a fanboy, I obviously will always defer to somebody who knows a little bit more about what it takes. And your opinion in that area is got street cred for sure. And look, the like again, the high school boy in me loved nothing more than putting on Eddie Van Halen and Running with the Devil and Jamie's Crying, and then moving to little guitars and Dancing in the Street. And I mean, his sound, the cool thing was he had a sound that was totally his, and it was heavy, but it was not, but it was completely accessible and it had a drive and an energy that always lifted you up without a doubt. And on top of that, the other thing the Guitar Hero has to have is personality. And Eddie had that. He could play to the audience, he could play to the camera, and he knew how to have fun doing what he was doing. On the other side, Prince, same thing. That guy's a showman. I mean, without a doubt, the flair, the ability to dance and move while he's playing that guitar, and to completely command the entire audience's attention, that he had that strange mystery about him. You know, Prince had that mysteriousness that some lead guitarists have, and we're going to talk about a couple more that have that. And so, golly, when he played the Super Bowl, when Prince played the Super Bowl and came out and did that guitar solo in the pouring rain, man, that's where I fucking fell in love with him. Excuse my language. That is where I completely fell in love with him. And I'm gonna go Prince on this one. And no disrespect to Eddie, because I love Eddie Van Halen, and I love everything about the way he did his job. And the guy he loved music. I mean, that guy, you know, was a student of it, no doubt about it. And but man, for me, I just, Prince has something that I just dig.
Right.
So
Right. Yeah, and I'll say so. Chandler Evans. I mean, Chandler's a fantastic guitar player. I know Chandler Evans, and he said in terms of influencing guitar players, peers, future, otherwise, Eddie, in terms of volume of material, chart success, etc., got to go with Prince.
the purple one,
And
right?
purple
Yeah.
one, and you know, and that's the thing. I mean, I think so too. I just think about, like, man, I think about that guitar solo to Beat It,
Yeah.
dude. And I remember Michael Jackson, talking about how he had it arranged one way, and Eddie came in and listened to the song and said, "We need to change it just to this." And he said it changed the whole feel, and Eddie just like launched that song into another dimension with that guitar solo.
Well, he definitely brought some
One,
people.
one guitar solo,
Yeah.
Michael Jackson said it changed the whole song. You know,
Yeah, and he brought probably an audience to Michael Jackson, you know, that maybe wasn't giving Michael Jackson that much attention at the time, you know, kind of exposed it to some new listeners. So yeah, that's influence, man. That is without a doubt, can't deny it.
yeah,
So
great
all
guitar.
right, man, we got to move on. We're
All right.
flipping through these. So next up, we got shifting gears here. We got David Gilmour of Pink Floyd, and we've got Stevie Ray Vaughan. Unbelievable. And you know, it's always hard going up against a guy who passed away. You know, I mean, their legend
Right.
seems to grow um a little bit because of that. So David Gilmour had a 14 vote. Stevie Ray Vaughan had a 17. I mean, this was tight. This was tight.
You lead. Who do you got? I really want to know who you got.
I mean, for me,
Well,
you know, I love me some Pink Floyd, especially when I'm feeling a little sleepy and it's raining outside. Dark Side of the Moon, nothing better. Listening to David Gilmour play and sing me to sleep. There is there is nothing like that. It also can be there for if you want to really go heavy into some thoughtful, you know, emotion of evoking stuff. But the energy, the vibe, the style of music that grabs me in this one is without a doubt Stevie Ray Vaughan. I love that Stratocaster he plays. I love that sound it drives. You know, I think the guitar is so important to each one of these guys, and the sound that they develop for themselves almost became their brand. Without a doubt, becomes their brand. And Stevie Ray for me has that thing that I don't know. It's just got soul and it's got depth. And he did some stuff with that guitar. His biggest influence was one of the guy we'll talk about soon is Jimi Hendrix. And he talks about Jimmy as just being the inspiration, and he did some things with the guitar that were very similar to Jimmy, and maybe even took it to new heights. Only because Jimmy didn't get to stick around, and then Stevie didn't either. He got to last a little longer than Jimmy, but
Yeah.
I like Stevie.
Yeah. So and I like what you were saying there about Floyd, because I really think that projects the mood.
Yeah.
What a great mood projector, and that's not easy to do. So I mean that's very interesting take from that to the style and that bluesy Texas, um, almost rock, a rock edge. But I mean he had enough soul in his guitar playing as he did in his vocals. Pretty forgetting how he could match both. Um, yeah, I mean that alone. So it's like it's mood versus the soul and the ripping of that. Man, that's tough. I mean, I guess I got to go Stevie Ray Vaughan. But let's see what folks said. Christopher Frank said Gilmore. I hate to say it because I love them both. See, there's the issue.
Yeah.
But Gilmore is the most tasteful guitarist I've ever heard. Yeah. I mean that is true. I can identify him from just a few notes.
Yeah.
And I agree with that too. But I mean, I can identify with Stevie Ray Vaughan in a few notes too. I don't think so many people have quite that flair that he. I mean, it kind of comes ripping in hard like a jet. You're like,
yeah.
I know what that is.
Right. Yeah, Tony Campanella says, I remember a Sunday afternoon, probably 1981. My uncle called the house and told me to turn on Channel 9. I thought that was odd, considering it was Sunday and Channel 9 was the Sesame Street station. I turned it on to find Stevie's first appearance on Austin City Limits. It changed my musical path. I admire and respect David Gilmour, but will always be Stevie for me. And that's coming from a guy who knows a little thing or two about blues guitar. And
he knows a few things. That's right.
Yeah. Tony definitely has great cred there. And again, not taking anything away from Mr. Gilmour, because like you said, that mood evoking capability, that emotion, that thing he can set is powerful. And those albums that they built were so unique to what anybody else was doing. The storytelling from the opening note to the end, the journey they were taking you on, not everybody's capable of putting all that together. And David Gilmour, I know, and the rest of Pink Floyd were amazing.
Mad respect for both of them. I mean, they both can invoke different moods. I guess it depends on what mood you're in. Who won? Who won the People's Choice? What was it on this?
It was almost a tie. It was a 17-14. I shared it at the beginning. I mean, it was, obviously there was an edge by Stevie Ray Vaughan, but I think if a few more people had voted, it might have ended up a tie.
Right.
So that was as close as we had, without a doubt.
I can almost give it a tie too, just for both and their mood evoking paralysis. I'm making up words.
Hey, I like it. That's the beauty, artistic license.
The producer gave us a warning. Everyone, please put your hands together for our producer Ryan. He's doing a great job.
Yeah. Thanks, Ryan. As always, keep us on track, keep us on the straight and narrow, and hopefully we can keep Bill above water.
That's what we got to do. So
that's right.
I'll call your next one here.
Okay.
For the ages, Mr. B.B. King or Eric Clapton. And boy, fairly overwhelmingly 2-1. 30 votes for B.B. King, 14 for Mr. Clapton.
This one did not surprise me, really. I mean, as good Slow Hands is one of the great nicknames of all time in rock and roll, I think, and how he got it. But I think Eric Clapton would tell you the influence B.B. King had on him. Not that there weren't others, but B.B. What I love about B.B. is self-taught, you know what I mean, isn't a chord guy at all. It's all just feeling and just picking and pushing those frets and just it just almost is like the guitar is attached to his heart and he's just speaking through that thing and it's just channeling that way. And when I hear him play, it's just mesmerizing for me. And Eric Clapton, again, you got another singer guitarist here. Although BB was too. Um, you know, I could take or leave. Really, I mean, I know he's put out great work, and I know he's done unbelievable. But for me, BB King is it's a walk, just like the vote. All right, Bill, I'm looking at a frozen face again, and we have got to keep moving. I hate to. I'm gonna assume that you agree with me.
I got to go the other way.
Oh no! You're going the other way. Well, let's hear it. Bill? All right. Well,
are you with me?
Yeah, and I'm here. I'm waiting on you to catch up. You disappeared on us for about
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now, Billy. But you're still frozen, so I don't know if you're all the way back. So
you can hear me?
Yep.
Unstable connection.
Nope, there you are. Now you're back full. I can see you.
Person? Live? Yep. You can hear me okay?
Yep.
I have to work on this. But no, I'm going the other way.
All right. You're going Clapton.
Yep. I'm going Clapton. There's for me, some of the songwriting on the guitar is really good. I just think I love the acoustic guitar and Tears in Heaven, Layla. Just some of that stuff is just really, really brilliant guitar writing. And I mean, the solos to me are, I don't know which are more. I mean, I'm gonna say that maybe Clapton's are a little more tasty. I saw BB King live. Some folks might bust me on this a little bit. I mean, I got bored after about 20 minutes. It just sounded all the same, vocally all the same. Nothing was really changing. His opener was really good though. That was at the Fox Theater and Robert Cray. But we can
I love Robert Cray. Big fan.
That was really good. But anyway, I'm gonna go with Clapton. But I mean, obviously, a lot of people, are big fans of BB King. I mean, I'm reading through the comments, and just a lot of people are big fans. Lynn McSorley said, "Not fair. They are both great in their own unique way. I lean towards BB."
So, yeah. And that was kind of
together too.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I think they did an album together, even.
Oh yeah, I think you're right. So we after some technical difficulties, we need to jump to the last matchup, Billy. And this was the one that I was dreading, actually. Not dreading to pick, just dreading for everybody, because who gets to get paired against Jimi Hendrix, because you got to have him in the conversation, but he's already reached God's status. You know what I mean? So is it fair to put any other mortals up against him, whether it's fair or not? And so the closest I could come to, and this is where that lead guitarist, the mystique, the party, it's Jimmy Page, you know, from Led Zeppelin. So from a historical standpoint, a godlike group, Led Zeppelin has that kind of Mount Olympus, you know, kind of quality to it. So why not throw Jimmy against Jimmy and see what we get? And what we got was a 33-7 shellacking. You know, Jimi Hendrix was out there. But, you know, I'm going to buck the trend, and I'm going to go for me. Led Zeppelin and Jimmy Page meant more to me rock and roll wise than Jimi Hendrix did. And I know that for some people are going to say that is just sacrilegious for you even to utter that. And I can't help it. And Jimmy Page and Robert Plant and John Bonham, and they just, from a rock and roller standpoint, they touch all the things you want your rock and roll star to be. You know what I mean? That you fantasize about, that you wish you could have the life. And Jimmy Page was front and center in setting the pace on how to live and breathe a rock and roll guitar hero, man. And so it's Jimmy for me.
Yeah, I mean, you can't deny the riff work of Kashmir and Black Dog and a whole lot of loving, and when the levee breaks, and babe, I'm gonna leave you. And I mean, doesn't it just go on, and it all kind of has this beautiful stairway to heaven. I'm not so sure that Jimi Hendrix has a song that's quite so touching. Angel was cool, but not necessarily the way because his singing not so good. I don't think. I mean, definitely Purple Haze was kind of catchy, and I don't know, but I mean, he doesn't match up to Robert Plant. But I know we
right,
can't
we're not
really
right.
do that, right? I mean,
right.
I understand, but isn't it hard to do when you're thinking guitar riff and vocal? That he's playing the guitar riff and he's the one singing. So
well, that's why I said that there's more to this thing than just the playing, or more than this thing than just, you know, it's kind of the whole package.
I know, because I don't know that, you know, I mean, Jimi Hendrix, or Jimmy Page had the cool thing where he brought out the bow and he played.
Yeah, right. And he had the double head. Double head guitar.
He did some cool, innovative stuff, but like, so Jimmy had the fuzz and the wah wah, and he was kind of like the first guy to do that and come out with the big Marshall stacks and come out with this distorted, gritty guitar tone, you know?
Yeah.
And so I really think that, I mean, just for that alone, I mean, I guess you got, as an innovator, and the guitar playing was awesome.
No doubt.
It's Jimi Hendrix, but Jimmy Page, come on, great riff rocking. Hey, so out of all these, can I ask you, do you think, is there, out of this 10, who walks away with the crown?
You know, if we're keeping Jimmy in the conversation, Jimi Hendrix in a walk has it. If we do like Playboy did with the University of Missouri, with the top 10 party schools, and sometime in the 80s moved them to professional status to take them out of their amateur status, we're moving Jimmy to God status, and I can then take a look at everybody else. If I take a look at everybody else after that, for me, it's Jimmy Page. You know, if we take, but if we're counting everybody, Jimi Hendrix, without a doubt, I think overall is the guitar hero of all guitar heroes, playing behind his neck, playing with his teeth, setting it on fire, whatever. Because he lit it on fire, literally, but he lit it on fire when he played. No doubt about it.
The entertainer with the guitar, once again. For me, it'd have to be Eddie Van Halen. I just I liked it. But so how crazy is it that, I mean, his main one and only influence was Eric Clapton when he was in Cream. That's it. That's the only one he pretty much points his finger to in any articles I've read with Eddie. So see, how crazy is that to say? But for me, it was just in the time period that I grew up, and it was Eddie Van Halen, and I heard that guitar come out, and it just sounded so big, and it was wonderful.
You know, a real quick fact before we kind of wrap up here about Stevie Ray Vaughan that I did not know. That when he first played, before he had become even big, he played at some festival, and he was seen at that festival, Montreux maybe I forget what it was called, but David Bowie saw him and talked to him after and hired him to play, and he plays on the Let's Dance track on that album with David Bowie. How about that? I mean, Stevie Ray Vaughan playing with David Bowie on Let's Dance.
That's awesome.
I know. So
yeah, I
cool.
love all that stuff.
Yeah. But hey, it was good to see you again. This live thing, I'm hoping everybody enjoyed it. I know we enjoyed the pace and we had some fun. I know Bill had some struggles with the technical difficulties, and we're gonna work on that from a Wi-Fi standpoint.
But we'll make it better. We'll bring it to you every Sunday. Make sure that you follow us on YouTube and Anchor, right?
Right, and Facebook and Spotify.
Yeah, put your comments out. Put your comments out all week long, and we'll talk about them. And then, come join us live.
Yeah, we'd love to have you, and we're looking forward to continuing to make this great. And look forward to the new matchups. We got about 2 weeks left before we take a little break for Christmas. And then we're coming back at you with season 2 sometime in January. Be looking for that. And we got some new tricks up our sleeve for season 2. So we're going to continue to make this a great show, and we love doing it. So thank you. Thank you so much. And look forward to seeing you the next time. This is Michael signing out.
Have a great week, everyone.
Later.
This versus that. This versus that. Sit back, relax. It's a musical chat. We can all get along if we just sing this song. This versus that.